Hey, good afternoon, everybody. The meeting will begin in about 8 minutes. And your worship, we're live.
Thank you. Good afternoon, everyone. We'll call this meeting to order. I'll ask if there's any disclosure of pecuniary interest. I thought I saw something come through, but I don't have a paper in front of me. So, Deputy Mayor Bray.
Thank you. Mine relates to item 15.3 on the closed session agenda, as I am a member of the Rotary Club.
Okay, thank you. If at some point throughout the meeting you find that you do, other members, please declare it at the time. Councillor Watson?
Yes, I guess I would be also have to declare on that in the closed session. If it's to do with Rotary, I hadn't seen that, but thank you, Deputy Mayor.
Okay, thank you. I'll note both of you for that. And seeing no other ones, if throughout the meeting you find that you do, please declare it at that time. Adoption of minutes, regular meeting of council minutes from February 24th. If I can have a mover and seconder, please. Councillor Kinney and Councillor Watson. Resolved that the minutes of the regular meeting of council held February 24th, 2022 are hereby adopted as circulated. All those in favor? And that is carried. Thank you. Deputations, presentations, petitions, and public meetings. We have Ms. Norah Holder, President and CEO, and Michael Lacroix, I knew I was going to mess that one up, Vice President, Corporate Services, CFO, and CIO will be in attendance to present to Council an update on the hospital's refreshed strategic plan 2022 to 2024 and development project stage 2. So I will welcome you both. Sorry about that, Michael.
No worries.
I will pass it over to you, Norah.
Thank you, Mayor Bafolchi. This is a great pleasure to be here. So thank you for this opportunity. Tina, is this going to be displayed for everyone to see?
Typically, we ask our presenters to display, but if you would like me to share my screen, I only have a PDF version though.
Michael, are you able to share it? I have it. I think I can share it. Hang on a sec. No problems. Just a second. We don't usually use Zoom. My apologies. So,
no problem. Share screen is at the very bottom, little green button.
Gotcha. Okay. Hang on.
Have it up. And then you can choose your screen.
Oh, Michael, you're going to have to change it.
Let me see if I can get it up here.
It's okay. Just a sec. I apologize.
No problem. So I'll share my screen here.
Thank you very much.
No problem. And you'll just have to let me know. You can see my screen.
Thank you, Dina.
Can you see the presentation?
Mm-hmm.
Okay, and you can just let me know when to scroll through for you.
Okay, so if we could go to the first slide, please and thanks. That's the second, sorry. Just the first page, Dina. Thank you. So good afternoon. My name is Norah Holder, and as the mayor has noted, I am the president and CEO of the Collingwood General Marine Hospital. I've been in the role for the past 5 years, and previously I was the VP of Patient Experience and Chief Nurse Executive for 8 years. As you may know, I'm retiring, and I would like to acknowledge at this time the positive relations that the hospital has and continues to enjoy with this council, so thank you. I'd also like to introduce Michael Lacroix. He is the CFO and Vice President of Corporate Services. He's been with the hospital for the past 11 years. He will be taking on the role of interim CEO of the hospital upon my retirement and will provide stellar leadership. So over the next 10 minutes, we'll be sharing some information with you about the CGMH refreshed strategic plan, along with a hospital development update. Next slide, please, and thanks. In 2018, CGMH launched a new strategic plan. It contained 4 strategic pillars: our people, patient experience, innovation, and partnerships. We also at that time developed a new vision that we shared with and continue to share with our foundation, Outstanding Care for Life. along with a new mission, advancing community health through compassionate, innovative, and collaborative care. Through an exercise in validation, at the time it was deemed by internal stakeholders, the current hospital care at values resonated and were embedded throughout the organization. But it was also recommended that inclusivity, or the I, was approved by the board of directors in January 2018, I should say. Our values stand for inclusive, caring, accountable, respect, excellence, adaptability, and teamwork. At CGMH, we are anchored by our vision, mission, and values and guided by our strategic directions, and these form the basis of our nautical theme. We believe that at CGMH, our I Care At values are the beacon that shine from within each employee, credentialed staff, and volunteer. Next slide, please. In the first few months of 2020, CGMH commenced a strategic refresh process that resulted in overwhelming confirmation of the relevancy of our 2020 strategic plans, vision, mission, values, strategic pillars, and directions. The process involved consultation with approximately 700 internal and external key stakeholders and a fulsome review of metrics and demographics. As a result of the feedback process, it was validated that our 4 strategic pillars and directions remained relevant and strong.
Oh, thank you. Sorry about that.
And only changes to the goals were recommended. In 2021, in addition to dealing with a worldwide pandemic, the CGMH Board of Directors and the senior team remained committed to moving the strategic refresh forward. And by the end of 2021, the Board of Directors approved the new goals, which will remain part of the hospital strategic plan from 2020 through to the end of 2024. So our goal today is to provide you information on our newly developed goals. Next slide, please, and thanks. For our patient experience pillar, we do commit to the following. CGMH will focus on the evolving needs of our patients and families and will provide compassionate, patient and family-centered care of the highest standard to deliver an exceptional experience. Within a best practice environment, key drivers will include the patient-family voice and a culture of innovation and safety. To do this, we will engage in the following goals. These are our new goals: to improve access to care closer to home and to enhance capacity and coordination of services for frail seniors and individuals with complex mental health needs. Next slide, please. For our partnerships pillar, we commit to the following. CGMH will focus on the collaboration with our community and across the health system for patients to receive a seamless, integrated experience with and beyond our hospital, and will contribute to the development of a care delivery system that builds upon and significantly advances the health of our community. We will continue to work with our many partners so that patients receive care in the most appropriate setting and find it easier to navigate the health system. We will align with provincial and community priorities to transform and integrate the healthcare system. To do this, we will engage in the following new goals. Improve health outcomes of our local population as a member of the South Georgian Bay Ontario Health Team, and will collaborate with patients, families, caregivers, and community partners to co-design the right care in the most appropriate setting. Next slide, please. For our innovation pillar, we commit to the following. CGMH will focus on innovating continuously and successfully in all that we do, and will seek innovation solutions to enhance the patient experience, health outcomes for our community, and hospital sustainability while strengthening existing and building new partnerships. To do this, we will engage in the following new goals. Seek and share innovative ideas to improve service, environmental sustainability, and value across the health system. Use technology to advance safety, quality of care, and efficiency. Plan a state-of-the-art hospital with our people, community, and partners. And last, but importantly, our people. Next slide, please, and thank you. For our people pillar, we commit to the following. CGMH deeply values its skilled and dedicated employees, credentialed staff, and volunteers, and commits to ensuring a healthy, safe, and inclusive workplace, which embraces our organizational values. Building upon a culture of engagement in an interprofessional setting, our people will be empowered and encouraged to contribute their input and expertise to enrich the patient experience today and introduce new ideas tomorrow. We are committed to safety, diversity, open dialogue, continuous learning, development, and the education of the next generation of our people. To do this, we will engage in the following new goals: retain, develop, and recruit highly skilled people, continue to build a CGMH team that reflects equity, inclusion, and the diversity of our community, and listen, focus, and act to support the health and wellness of our people, which is of great importance and primacy in relation to the impacts of the pandemic upon our people over the past 2 years. At this time, Michael Lacroix will now take over. Next slide, please, and thank you.
So good afternoon. So as most of you are aware, CGMH received a visit last August from the Minister of Health, who announced approval of our Stage 1 planning submission. In addition, the Minister also announced over $15 million to complete early planning and design of our hospital development project that will result in a modernization and expansion of the Collingwood General Marine Hospital. So with this approval and funding, CGMH began Stage 2 functional programming in the fall of 2021. So during phase 2 planning, the hospital will continue to define our programs, our services, the space requirements, and will be sure to incorporate emerging care standards and building requirements that have been informed by the COVID-19 pandemic, assessing whether the current building can support these standards and how these standards would be applied to new development as part of hospital expansion. Through the current work underway in Stage 2 planning, this will ultimately determine the size and the scope of the hospital development project. What we can say with certainty is that the planning work will lead to the creation of a state-of-the-art facility. And that state-of-the-art facility will meet the healthcare needs of our rapidly growing South Georgian Bay community well into the future. So over the past few months, 18 internal stakeholder groups, user groups here at the hospital have been meeting to review and discuss space needs, requirements of what the new future hospital may contain. These user groups consist of hospital employees, physicians, midwives. We do have some volunteer members as part of our hospital's patient, family, and caregiver advisory committee as well. The hospital is excited to be working on the Stage 2 functional program in collaboration with these internal and external stakeholders. We do have a target date for our Stage 2 submission, which is going to be roughly a year out, so in the first quarter of 2023. And this submission will be made to the Ministry's Health Capital Investment Branch. So again, the hospital continues to be very grateful to the County of Simcoe for its $20 million commitment to the local share component of our hospital development project. Next slide, please. So to keep everyone up to date on the status of CGMH's hospital development project, the hospital, in partnership with the Hospital Foundation, has launched a new website at yourfuturehospital.com. So this website will be the home for all official project announcements, community forum information, and more. The primary goal of our website is to keep our communities up to date on our hospital development project and to also help clarify the ministry's hospital capital planning process, including what happens during the current stage, which is Stage 2, what is involved in the remaining 3 stages. We also attempt to answer some of the more commonly asked questions that we get from our community through a Q&A section on the website. And there's also a forum for community members to submit their questions related to our hospital development project. So given the scope of our project, the extended timelines required to complete the planning and design process, project updates will not necessarily occur with some great frequency, at least for the first part of this year and even into the fall. But the best way our community can engage with the website is to stay up to date on the project is to sign up for the hospital development newsletter. So at this time, I'll hand things back over to Norah to wrap up our presentation.
Thanks, Michael. On behalf of Michael Lacroix and myself, I'd like to thank you for the opportunity to present to you today. And it's been a pleasure working with you during my 12.5-year tenure at CGMH. I wish you all the best. So thank you very much.
Okay, thank you both. And thank you for the work and effort that you have done to make what I call our hospital, because it is our hospital here in Wasaga Beach as well, the best that it can be. And I know that there's challenging times, but I hear great things coming out of there. And Norah, I wish you all the best on your retirement, and Michael in your new responsibilities. But I will open it up for council members if you have any questions or comments. Councillor Kinney.
Thank you, Worship, and thank you, Michael, and thank you, Norah. I don't know if you remember me, Norah, but myself and Andrew Barsham did a CEPTED several years ago for your hospital and your staff then, and I'm sure they are now, and this is a credit to you and going on with Michael, because I know he'll do a great job too. We're fantastic to work with. It's awesome that you took the time out to share with your stakeholders or your partners or our council your vision for the next couple of years, and we really do appreciate it. And finally, Norah, you have a great retirement. Thank you, Worship.
Thank you. Councillor Watson.
Thank you, Your Worship, and thank you, Norah and Michael, for your presentation. And I'd just like to say, my family, our family, has enjoyed the hospitality of General Marine Hospital for 62 years, and me personally for the last 54 years, and it continues. In the last week, my wife just had knee replacement surgery, and she was very happy with everything, and she's home recovering now. So thank you for all you do for our community and all the communities in the area. Thank you.
And Councillor Foster.
Thank you, Your Worship. And again, I'll echo comments about it's good to get these updates from time to time. And again, I will also mention my thanks to Norah as far as cooperating with other agencies. As the former chair of the South Georgian Bay Community Health Center, I'm fully aware of the great communication that goes on between that organization and the CGMH. Also, I'd like to thank her, as George did, as a person who really got to spend, between my wife and I, we got to use every single department in the CGMH over the last 3 years. And no offense, Michael, but I hope I don't see you professionally in the future, or your team. But if I do, I know they're extremely good at what they do. So thank you very much.
Okay, thank you. Any other comments or questions? Okay, well, again, thank you, Norah. Thank you, Michael, and all the best to both of you. We look forward to future updates.
Thanks for the opportunity. Have a good day.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Bye now.
And I do have a motion here that council receive the presentation from the Collingwood General and Marine Hospital pertaining to a refreshed strategic plan 2022-24 and development project stage 2 for information. Can I have a mover and seconder, please? Councillor Belanger and Councillor Kinney. All those in favor? And that is carried. Comment and question period, a 15-minute session wherein persons in attendance at the regular meeting of council have an opportunity to make a comment or ask a question pertaining to a staff report, coordinated committee report, or bylaw. Comments will be received for council consideration but will not be discussed or debated at this time. Madam Clerk, has anyone registered for today?
Through Your Worship, we do have one registration, and that is from Hockey Circuit, Pina and Kareem.
Okay, thank you. Pina and Kareem, if you want to go ahead.
Can't hear you. Do you have your volume on, Kareem? You might have to change your speaker because we can't hear you, or join with your phone to see if we can get volume there. Still can't hear you.
Okay,
There we go. So we see you on your phone, and we'll get you to unmute on your phone. There we go. And you're gonna have to mute your computer.
I did.
It's muted. No.
Yep.
There we go. Go ahead. You're gonna have to probably sign off your computer because you
Hear the echo, right?
Yes.
So go away. Go over there.
Sorry.
How does that, is that working now?
That sound better now?
Yeah. We can hear you now.
Okay. So everybody can hear me now? I'm okay now?
Yes.
Okay, thank you. Good afternoon, council and town staff. Thank you for giving me the opportunity to speak to this matter. I'm speaking about the allocation policy that is going to be moved today, or I don't know the right terminology. So with saying that, I did a presentation in February about the allocation policy and the 2019 booking calendar, and also stated in my presentation about the contract that the town had with George Skate 8 and the booking being two separate entities. And with this new allocation policy, they are being put together as one entity. So I have a couple of concerns about that. Wasaga Beach is known for being a hockey town and a hockey location. And with this new allocation policy, it kind of protects one business and gives a business a monopoly of ice time throughout the spring and summer season, and doesn't give any opportunity to any other businesses to try out for camps or any of that fun stuff with this new allocation policy. So those are my concerns. Another thing, one of my concerns is that the 2019 calendar and the contract for July and August are two separate entities. So they should not be put together as one thing, as an allocation, because then you're giving one business all of that time and not giving that opportunity to anybody else to present or even try out to book ice in the summertime during the day to offer a camp. So those are my concerns about this new allocation policy and things that is going to be moved forward to council today. If you guys have any questions or anything else with this matter, or I could say more, I would love to. I think Pina also as well has some questions and concerns as well. With the town, I've been on my up and up. I have a business license with the town, full insurance with as well. And with having all of this stuff, I'm on the up and up with the town. 1 second. It's okay, Pina will speak to this.
No, it's exactly what you're saying. Hi, so basically, sorry to interrupt Kareem, but what I did want, Kareem was just touching on it, on being on the up and up with business licenses and permits and insurances. And when we believe that council should do its due diligence and investigate on businesses that are operating currently without insurances and business licenses before you guys make any decisions today. I believe that you guys should look into current businesses that are not currently running with insurances and business licenses, so that we are all playing on the same fair playing ground when it comes down to allocation of ice. So those are concerns that we have. So please, before making any decisions, we believe as business owners here in town that you guys do your due diligence and make sure before you're allocating a large amount of ice or time to any particular business, not just the ones that question, but all ice, anything running out of the arena, that everybody's playing at the same playing ground before any final decisions are being made today. I'll pass you back to Kareem. Thank you.
Oops, that's, sorry. Hello?
Yeah, we can hear you.
That's it. If you have any questions, thank you very much for your time and your patience in this matter. It's very important to me, this allocation policy, because it gives a business a monopoly of ice that concerns myself and other businesses in town. And another thing I don't know is how long this allocation policy will be on for. Will it be for the remainder timeline of this old arena? Will it go into the new arena? 2 years, if it takes that long for the new arena to come, this allocation will stop my business from growing in the summertime for the next 2 years before we get into the new arena. This is why I brought up this concern with you guys and educating you guys on the same page with this old arena, so we're all together in this, right? That's all I have to say. Sorry.
Okay, thanks, Kareem. We don't discuss or debate it at this time. I know that that bylaw has been pulled later in the agenda for council to have that discussion before a vote happens.
Okay.
My expectation is that staff does due diligence before it hits this table. So when we get to that bylaw, I'll be looking to Mr. Roos to respond to some of the items that you've raised so that council does have a full picture.
Thank you.
But there was the one question, and I will look to Chris, I believe you're on here, as far as how long the allocation policy will be in place. If you can address that question, please.
Thanks, Your Worship. Kareem, typically policies at the town are established and remain standing until they've been repealed or replaced. We do technically have a review period of 5 years, and that date stands on this policy. So now that this, or should this policy be ratified today, the steps would be for council to repeal the existing one and replace it with something else.
Okay, so Chris, when we get to the discussion of the bylaw, I think that maybe you can touch a little bit more on contract versus that policy and how that's going to work when we move forward with the new arena before council votes on that. So if you can come prepared to respond to that at that time, that would be appreciated.
Can I ask anything?
Another question, go ahead.
So 5 years. So with this new allocation policy, it will give a monopoly to a business for the next 5 years. Are we on the same page? So then I cannot bring this, can I get some clarification?
So again, I'm gonna ask Chris to address that when we get to that point, because we will have 2 ice pads moving forward once the new arena is open. So I would think that that would open it up for others to have ice time.
But sorry. So with this arena, we only have 1 ice pad. With this allocation policy, it allows for the 2 years of this lifeline of this ice to be monopolized by 1 business with this new allocation policy.
Well, and I think that was explained before, as this has been going through the process. That was due to COVID, due to other things. So Chris, when we get to that bylaw, I'm going to need for you to fully explain that again so that council has a full understanding prior to the vote.
Thank you. Because this allocation policy, to understand about COVID. So with this allocation policy, my clarification is the 2019 calendar will be moved forward as using as first right of refusal to for allocation of ice for anybody in 2019. So in 2019, I never had a business or I never had any ice time. So it doesn't give me any opportunity to request any ice until past businesses like Skate 8 gives up ice. At this point in time, Skate 8 owns July and August, and with this allocation policy, it will give them that continuing ice for 2 more years without giving any opportunity to any other business to apply for that with this new allocation policy?
Okay, so thank you for that. And as I said, we're going to be looking to Mr. Roos to answer that when we get to that point to discuss the bylaw.
Okay, thank you.
Okay, all right, thank you. Madam Clerk, was there anyone else registered for today?
Thank you, Worship. No, that was it.
Okay, thank you. Under unfinished business, we have none. Under correspondence received for information, we have a Ministry of Energy letter. The motion is that Council receive the letter from the Ministry of Energy dated March 17th, 2022, pertaining to the Independent Electricity System Operator for information. If I can have a mover and seconder, please. Councillor Kinney and Councillor Foster. All those in favor? And that is carried. Committee, board, and staff reports. We'll start with Community Services. Councillor Kinney.
Thank you, Your Worship. The following are the highlights of the March 10th, 2022 Community Services section of Coordinated Committee. The Development Service section hosted a public meeting regarding applications from Wasaga Heights Incorporated for a zoning bylaw amendment, proposed draft plan of subdivision, and proposed draft plan of common element condominium. Staff and developer representative provided an overview of the project situated on 15-acre parcel on the east side of 45th Street, just south of Canadian Tire. This marked the second meeting for the project due to revisions. The developer is planning to build 100 townhouses and 2 semi-detached homes subject to approval from the town. Staff will review the application and provide a recommendation to committee. EPCOR Utilities Incorporated also presented to the committee. The company presentation focused on the Go EV program, which distributes funding to eligible applicants to install vehicle charging stations. Company representatives discussed how the program works. Council received the presentation for information. Committee is recommending that council approve the purchase of a new full-size pickup truck for the fire department at a cost of $55,941 plus taxes from Hannah Motors. The truck will serve as a replacement vehicle for another truck at the end of its life cycle. The town used an RFQ process to secure quotes. Hannah was the lowest of 5 received through the process. The committee is recommending that council approve the use of the Recplex parking lot for the Rotary Club to host a tree sale fundraiser on Saturday, May 7th. Details of the event are in the related staff report. Committee received the CAO's report on the County of Simcoe Regional Government Review Service Delivery Task Force Fire Services Review. Committee authorized the CAO to inform the county that the town supports recommendations 9 and 10 in the fire service review. Committee also directed the CAO to raise the arbitration issues as noted in the motion and asked that the town motion be circulated to Ontario municipalities. Summer events were also part of the committee's focus. Committee is recommending that council approve the following events. Corvette Club of Wasaga Beach Spring Fling at the Stonebridge Gazebo on May 29th, and that the town waive its fees for use of the parkland plus a town stage, tent, and tables. The trailer or the Trail Tunes event on Saturday, June 4th in collaboration with the town of Collingwood and the township of Clearview, and that the town contribute up to $5,000 from the special events budget for the event. And further, that the town provides free use of the stage for the day. Trail Tunes is a new cycling event taking place on International Trails Day, involving cycling on local trails and enjoying music at trailhead locations. Hosting the Wasaga Beach Summer Midway in the Playland parking lot from July 20th to July 24th, with details of the event outlined in the staff report. The 6th annual F-Series truck rally in support of the Ministerial Food Bank on July 23rd in the First Street parking lot from 9 a.m. to 4 p.m. and that the town waive its fee for the use of the lot, as well as town tents, tables, and chairs. The Great Lake Waterfront Trail Adventure event, including use of the arena grounds for camping on August 11th, as outlined in the staff report, and that the event use the municipal picnic area from 5 a.m. to noon on August 12th. The event is a multi-day cycle tour to promote the Great Lakes Waterfront Trail. The committee is also recommending that council confirm the town's policy of scheduling all recreational facilities for users, including Wasaga Stars Arena, as per facility allocation policy, which states renters will receive the same booking time as the prior year. In addition, committee is recommending to council that it confirm staff allocating facilities for 2022 using 2019 as the prior year due to the disruption caused by the pandemic in 2020 and 2021. Committee is also recommending council approve the revisions in the facility allocation policy 4-11 with updates as noted in the related report effective April 1st. Finally, the committee recommends that council approve the purchase of an Olympian Millennium e-battery ice surfacer and a related ice leveling system at a cost of $152,300 plus HST from Resurface Corporation. On behalf of the Community Services section of Coordinating Committee, I ask that council approve the recommendations in this report. Thank you, Your Worship.
Thank you. Are there any questions of Councillor Kinney's report? Okay, we'll move on to Councillor Watson with Public Works, please.
Thank you, Your Worship. The following are the highlights from the March 10th, 2022 Public Works section of Coordinated Committee. Committee is recommending that council award tenders to the companies outlined in the March 10th agenda. This includes for the following: the supply and delivery of granular A, the provision of line painting and pavement marking work, the provision of asphalt road repair, the supply and placement of hot mix asphalt, the supply and application of dust suppressant. Committee is also recommending that council approve awarding the contract for a new playground at Mills Park to New World Park Solutions at a cost of $297,558, excluding HST. This includes design, supply, and installation of equipment at the park located next to Town Hall. Staff identified the firm through an RFP process. Committee is recommending that council award a contract to Alexander Budkowitz and Associates Limited for landscape architectural design services for the detailed design of the Pacific Homes Park block in Sunnydale Trails at a cost of $148,500, excluding HST. Committee is recommending that the Pridham Park pedestrian bridge replacement project be awarded to Furdham Construction at a cost of $218,761, including HST. This pedestrian bridge crosses McIntyre Creek just west of Sunnydale Road and north of Pridham Court. Finally, committee received for information the 2021 annual performance report for the Water Pollution Control Plant. The plant continued to provide effective treatment in 2021, and that continues today. On behalf of the Public Works section of Coordinated Committee, I ask the council receive this report. Thank you.
Thank you. Are there any questions of Councillor Watson's report? Okay, we'll go to Development Committee. Councillor Foster, please.
Thank you, Your Worship. The following are the highlights of the March 10th, 2022 Development Service Section of Coordinated Committee. Committee is recommending Council pass a resolution allowing Brook Valley Wasaga Limited to apply to the Committee of Adjustment for a minor variance from provisions in the town's zoning bylaw. Committee received for information the Building Department's activity report for February 2022. The department issued 25 permits for the month, including 7 for single detached homes and 1 for a secondary suite. The permits represent construction valued at $2.6 million. The town also issued a permit for a commercial building with an estimated construction value of $550,000. Committee received for information the Economic Development Activities Report. The report included updates on the comprehensive wayfinding strategy, support local messaging, the facade improvement program, and the town branding exercise, plus several other initiatives. Committee received a report for on the Business Job Fair Recovery event and recommends Council approve allocating up to $5,000 for the new event, split between the new event sponsorship budget and the Economic Development Initiatives budget. This event would occur at the Recplex on April 24th, and the objective of the event is to help local businesses fill job vacancies. On behalf of the Development Services Section Coordinated Committee, I ask that Council approve the recommendations in this report. Thank you.
Thank you, Councillor, or questions of Councillor Foster. Okay, moving on to Deputy Mayor Bray for General Government, please.
Thank you, Mayor Byfolchi. The following are the highlights from the March 10th, 2022 General Government Services section of Coordinated Committee. Committee is recommending that Council approve an Accessibility Advisory Committee project involving a radio contest. The aim of the contest is to raise awareness about accessibility issues. As well, Committee is recommending Council authorize use of the Committee's budget for the purposes of the contest and that Council approve an unbudgeted expenditure of approximately $1,000 from the corporate initiatives budget to support the contest. As well, Committee is recommending that Council approve fee changes for Wasaga Beach Cemetery. As outlined in the related staff report, committees also recommend that staff share the new fee information on the town website. Committee is recommending Council award the purchase of 3 new half-ton trucks to Hannah Motor Sales at a cost of $183,067, excluding HST, and that the Capital Replacement Reserve Fund support the budget overage. Staff used an RFP process to identify the purchase as per the town purchasing policy. Finally, Committee is recommending that Council receive for information the preliminary 2021 financial statements and that Council approve the estimated carryover transfers as specified. The related staff report notes the town's financial position remains strong. On behalf of the General Government Services section of Coordinated Committee, I ask that Council approve the recommendations in this report. Thank you.
Thank you. Any questions of Deputy Mayor Bray's report? Okay, we have a motion that Council receive the Coordinated Committee reports of March 10th, 2022 as circulated and approves all actions contained therein. Can I have a mover and seconder, please? Councillor Kinney and Councillor Wells, all those in favor? And that is carried. Moving on to the consent agenda. Before I state the pulled items, are there any that somebody just wants to make a comment on that doesn't actually require to be pulled? Okay, then, Councillor Belanger.
Thank you, Mayor Byfolchi. Just a comment on 8.10. I'm not sure what the terms of reference would be, but I'm hoping that members of council would have the opportunity to meet with the consultant's revised purchasing policy. Thank you.
Okay, and I believe that one is pulled, so we can have staff answer that at that time. Okay, seeing no one with any other comments, I have here items 8.5, 8.9, 8.10, 8.11, and 8.12 is being pulled. Is there any others? Okay, I will look for a mover and seconder for the consent agenda, please. Councillor Belanger and Councillor Watson resolve that Council hereby receive the March 24th, 2022 consent agenda items 8.2 through to 8.12, and that all the recommendations contained therein be adopted, excluding agenda items pulled from the motion and voted on separately. All those in favor? And that is carried. So the first one pulled is 8.5, and I believe that was Councillor Belanger and Deputy Mayor Bray. So Councillor Belanger.
Thank you, Mayor Bifulci. Yes, I'm, as everyone here is well aware, I've voted opposed on quite a number of things related to the new Twin Pan Arena and Library, and I'm voting opposed on this motion based on the fact that we knew before construction commenced that we were in the middle of a pandemic. We knew that there were many services supply issues and cost increases related to construction, and not just in many municipalities. It was well documented. And this increased cost is basically the equivalent of about a 1% increase on our property taxes. Thank you.
Okay, and my apologies. I know the CAO wants to speak to this report, but Deputy Mayor Bray, did you have a question or comment before I pass the floor to the CAO?
Thank you. I'm sure the CAO will probably highlight the comments that I was going to make. I certainly am in support of this. Sitting on the construction steering group, I think we understand why we are bringing this forward. I think we're getting a superior product. We're meeting our timeline. And this increased budget item is completely covered by the contingencies that are built into a project of this size. So fully supportive. I just wanted to certainly announce to everybody that this isn't doom and gloom. This isn't the reason to put a halt on the project. And I'm sure the CAO will highlight many more reasons than I just listed, but please go ahead. Thank you.
Thank you. And I will just make a comment. There's been already out there in social media wrong information. So I believe our communications department does have something that will be shared later today to make sure that people are very clear on it. But I think it's important that Mr. CAO, you can maybe address it publicly here as well, so others can view it and hear it for themselves.
Thank you, Worship. I won't go into a lot of the detail that's in the report. I think the report is pretty self-explanatory, but just to say that the contract was awarded to Aquacon based on a stipulated price contract. In other words, it's a fixed price contract. Within the contract, there is a paragraph dealing with change orders. Change orders for any project are a normal course of events. We have a process that's been established. It's outlined in the report with respect to how change order requests are reviewed, the spending thresholds, right up to council. And the reason this is before you today is because it exceeds the spending threshold that council had indicated for change orders. So we've processed about 20 change orders, ranging from $4,000 to $15,000, all the way up. So we're following a process. The report outlines the rationale for this latest change order. We felt we've explained it in terms of the rationale for it. It's not an increase to the overall project cost. It's within the amount that we set aside for contingency. A contingency is a normal way of addressing things that come up during the life of a project. We have a healthy contingency, and we even after, if council approves this, we will continue to have a healthy contingency. And it's estimated that the project will come in at budget when it's complete. So, Your Worship, I'll pause at that point and take any questions that members of council may have.
Okay, thank you. And I did see Councillor Wells. You put your card up, and then Councillor Foster.
Thank you, Worship. I'm not trying to be facetious, but this requirement or this request, I guess, should it be denied? Those that are thinking it should be denied, what are we going to do? I've been watching with great interest the project going up. are we going to let it sit there for 8 months while we wait for supply of a roof? That just does not make any sense to me. That's just, that's ludicrous to think that we're just going to let it sit there with no roof on it for an extended period of time. This is the appropriate way to deal with it.
Thank you. Councillor Foster.
Yes, Your Worship. And I was going to mention the contingency that was built in to deal with exactly these kind of issues. This is why when really the treasurer and the group involved in it created this to allow exactly this. And if it was $5,000 less, could have been approved by the community construction steering group. So there will be, and although I don't believe you should be responding to social media, and you said the CAO is going to speak to clear up, but there are people who believe this is somehow wrong or not going to really pay much attention to the reality, and that's unfortunate. But this is a project that has been moving ahead, and as Councillor Wells just mentioned, we're seeing the steel up, and there is a group that has been trying vehemently to stop it all along. And again, this is not anything outside of the budget. It does not represent a 1% increase in taxes under any circumstances, does it? Because that was included in the entire plan for it. So again, I'm really quite mortified about the false narrative that's being created on this. Thank you.
Thank you. And as much as we don't respond to everything that is inaccurate on social media, I think with a project that's this important to the community, when the misinformation has already started and will continue, I think it's important that we do get the truth out there. Those who want the truth will hear the truth and be accepting of it. There will always be the others who continue to twist it to their benefit, but I think we have an obligation to make sure that the proper information is out there. Councillor Boulanger.
Yes, thank you, Your Worship. Just a clarification. I believe I heard twice that this was a superior product, but if I read the report properly, I believe the warranty on this product is the same as the warranty on the original project. Is that correct?
Mr. CAO?
That is correct. The warranty is the same.
The warranty is the same, but it is a superior project or product. Councillor Watson?
Thank you, Worship. Councillor Foster touched on this 1% tax increase, but I'd like clarification on that because these statements get pushed out by in this case, a councillor, and I'd like to know if that represents a 1% tax increase to our residents.
Mr. CAO, I think you've addressed it, but I think it's important to address it again.
Thank you, Your Worship. So with the contingency is built into the overall budget of $59 million. So this additional cost will be drawn from the contingency. It does not impact the overall cost of the project. Therefore, there's not a tax increase as a result of this expenditure.
Councillor Boulanger?
Yeah, it's just a point of clarification because I don't want my comments misconstrued. Had we not had to go with a different product, we would have then come under budget potentially by $255,000. Thank you.
I think it's all how you look at it, Councillor. The building would have been sitting there. Other products could have increased in price. We could have lost opportunities for other things. So I don't think that that's quite accurate, but any other questions or comments? If I could have a mover and seconder, please. Councillor Kinney and Deputy Mayor Bray. The council approved change order C015.0 in the amount of $255,000 plus HST for the provision of an alternative roofing system for the Twin Pad Arena and Library. All those in favor? And those opposed? That is carried by a vote of 6-1 with Councillor Boulanger in opposition. The next item we had pulled was 8.9, and I believe that was by Deputy Mayor Bray.
Thank you. So my thought with this report, which was the Treasurer's statement of remuneration of council expenses, just shouldn't be part of a consent agenda. We we often hear from a taxpayer who maybe doesn't like something we said today that, they're paying our salary. And I think it's really important that we are very open about what that salary is and that the report should be public and should be voted on. So basically just pulled it so that we could all support the report as it exists. Thank you.
Okay, Councillor Foster.
Thank you, Your Worship. And again, the fact that the report is in the agenda, whether it's consent or not, it is public and transparent. I know for a fact every year that our local newspaper makes comment on it. So I don't think, again, that there was any attempt to make it not public. It's right there. It's 8.9. So how it's addressed in the agenda is irrelevant. It's there. Thank you.
Okay, so we do have a motion here that Council received the 2021 annual statement of remuneration and expenses paid to members of Council and appointed board committee members for information. If I can have a mover and seconder, Councillor Belanger and Councillor Kinney. All those in favor? And that is carried. Thank you. Next item pulled was 8.10, and I believe that was Deputy Mayor Bray.
Thank you. I'm on a roll. This is exciting news to see the awarding of the procurement policy update. Even more exciting to say that it's being funded through a municipal modernization grant funding. But I just wondered if perhaps the author of the report, Adam Mighton, might talk a little bit about the timing of like first draft, second draft, when we can expect to see something come out of this. Thank you.
Welcome, Mr. Mighton.
Thank you. Through you, Your Worship, to the Deputy Mayor. So this is an exciting project that we're looking to get started in April with an early kickoff meeting. We're expecting the first deliverable to be coming through in July to committee for a draft copy of the report, and then we'll take comments and consideration, and we're hoping to bring it forward towards the end of July for ratification by Council for the update.
Okay. Thank you. If I can have a mover and seconder for this motion, please. Councillor Kinney and Councillor Foster, the Council award RFP TREAS 2022-01 pertaining to engaging a consultant to complete a review of the town's procurement policy, electronic procurement setup, and update of the purchasing process to LXM Law LLP for a ceiling limit of $46,500 plus applicable taxes. Councillor Wells.
Thank you, Your Worship. Just clarification. Does this policy, is there any implications in this policy on its timing for the lame duck period?
Adam, can you answer that, or Dina?
I believe, to the councillor, I believe that we should be going through this policy update, and council should have it before them prior to us going to lame duck in August.
Okay, thank you. If there's no other questions, I've read the motion. All those in favor? And that is carried. Thank you, and thank you, Adam. Next item pulled is 8.11, Deputy Mayor Bray.
Thank you. So this report speaks to the changing of a position. And I know at budget time, we spend a lot of time talking about staff and staff positions and adding positions. The logic in this report certainly leads us down the path that indicates it's a good combined use of talents by increasing this position to a full-time position, because I know we spend a lot of money if we do need to retrain or rehire or re-recruit because 3 days a week wasn't enough to hold somebody with the qualifications that require. So I do support it, but I just wondered if perhaps either HR or finance or somebody could just speak a little bit about how they see the two areas working together. Because in first reading, it sounded like the jobs were quite different, but we were combining them. So I wasn't 100% sure how it was going to work.
Okay, thank you. Jocelyn?
Thank you, Your Worship, and to the Deputy Mayor. So when we had the position for the payroll and benefits clerk, that position has a lot of duties and responsibilities that relate a lot to the HR responsibilities as well. And so there has been an opportunity for that position to assist HR for some of the needs that they have. That position also does some of the treasury functions that we need done in the department. And some of those functions, if we balance our workload and move some of that treasury function onto the additional capacity of bringing on the grant writer position full time, we can allow a little bit more of the payroll benefits clerk's time to be allocated over for supporting the HR department. So both departments will benefit, and the right skills are used for the individual who's supporting each of the department's roles. Does that help answer the question?
Okay.
Yes, thank you.
You. Any other questions? If I could have a mover and seconder, please, for this motion. Oh, I'm sorry, Councillor Watson.
Thank you, Your Worship. I wasn't clear on it. It was put out for tender, for lack of a better word, earlier, and now we're readjusting and putting it out again. We haven't put it out yet. Is that correct?
Jocelyn?
Yes, through Your Worship, we have not reissued the posting as of yet. We're just seeking requests to change the position before reposting.
Thank you.
All right. If I could have a mover and seconder, please. Councillor Foster and Councillor Belanger. The council approved the amendment to the grant writer position as described in this report that will change the position from permanent 3 days a week to permanent 5 days per week. And further, that council approved the use of in-year corporate surplus or general reserve to cover the additional cost for 2022 of $26,000, with the full cost of the position being covered through taxation for 2023 and beyond. Any final discussion? All those in favor? And that is carried. And 8.12, Deputy Mayor Bray.
Thank you. This report is a verbal report. So will there actually be a report, or are we just reading the motion?
I was just going to read the motion, but if there's a specific question you have, normally with appointments, there isn't much more to it than that. We're just removing people or replacing people. But Dina, did you have anything to add?
That's correct, Your Worship. Typically, when we bring forward, it's resignations and vacancies that we're trying to add or advertise for. So it's a typical motion that we bring forward when we have changes on our committees.
So then my question would be to the clerk. There's a number of resignations from the Healthy Community Network, which hasn't met in a couple of years. And I know some members were hoping to, obviously not all of them, as you're confirming some resignations, but just wondering if there's a plan or a hope of when we can restart that committee.
Certainly. The committee has not met since COVID, and we were respecting their wishes, not wanting to meet virtually. And unfortunately, most of our committees had to meet virtually if they wanted to meet during this period. We are moving to hybrid model at this point, and some committees can start meeting in person again. So certainly, if there is staff available to bring this committee forward again, it might need a look at our terms of reference. I'm not sure what the planning department has in mind for bringing forward this committee. I know there has been a staff member assigned, but he is fairly new and has not met the committee yet. So I'm looking to the planning director to and that new staff member to bring forward the first meeting. Perhaps they might want to look at the terms of reference and review if they need that many members. It is a large committee as well. So it would be up to the staff member and the department responsible for that committee, but we'll certainly advertise for members and try and fill those vacancies.
Okay, Mr. CAO, through you, can we make sure that that department does look at this and let us know when they think that they could hold a meeting?
Yes, Your Worship. I'll work with our Assistant Pam Kenwell and the department to get that information, report back to Council.
Okay, thank you. Councillor Foster.
Thank you, Your Worship. And again, on one of the smaller committees, the Historical Advisory Committee, we're losing 2 members for different reasons. But I would like to encourage the advertisement go out as quickly as possible. I have some little concerns about quorum numbers. What happens when you've got a committee? I think our quorum is 9, and if we're down by 2 or 3 members, it makes it awkward to move forward. So I know staff will do what they can quickly, and anyway, just thought I'd bring it up. So I may talk to Dina separately, just to make sure I'm clear on quorum.
Okay, thank you. If I can have a mover and seconder for this motion, please. Councillor Watson and Councillor Foster, that Schedule C to Bylaw 2018-98, being appointments to local boards, be amended by removing Les Newton and making alternate member Adam Harrod a full-time member to the Committee of Adjustment. Further, that Schedule C to Bylaw 2018-98, being appointments to local boards, be amended by removing Deborah Felak and inserting Christy Wilson as recording secretary to the Committee of Adjustment. Further, that Schedule B to Bylaw 2018-98, being appointments to advisory committees, statutory, non-statutory, be amended by removing Kathy Loosemore and Bruce Galbraith as members of the Accessibility Advisory Committee. Further, that Schedule B to Bylaw 2018-98, being appointments to advisory committees, statutory, non-statutory, be amended by removing Andrea McCormick Wesley Fairdas, M. Vittoria Trainer, and Kevin Stevenson as members of the Healthy Community Network Committee. Further, that Schedule B to Bylaw 2018-98, being appointments to advisory committees, statutory, non-statutory, be amended by removing Adam Fraser and inserting Matt Ellis as the staff resource person for the Healthy Community Network Committee. Finally, that Schedule B to Bylaw 2018-98, being appointments to advisory committees, statutory, non-statutory, be amended by removing Art Dyer and George Potopnik as members of the Historical Advisory Committee. All those in favor? And that is carried. Thank you. Community announcements. We will move on there, and we will start with Councillor Foster today.
Hang on. Thank you, Your Worship. There were several openings we all attended, or several of us did, including I went to a presentation of a check towards the new arena library. To me, kind of the most important one this month is the flag raising for the Ukraine. I think, when we have concerns, there are people who are saying our freedom is somehow impacted. I suggest they have no clue what is going on in the Ukraine. The other thing is with the onset of better weather, it's nice to see so many people out and about, and I've talked to many people around about the upcoming season and the excitement we'll have over the summer. And the last thing I do want to remind people is it becomes clear as the snow melts that people sometimes forget the stoop and scoop thing around town. Please clean up after your dog, and I'll remind people that if they put the waste in a biodegradable bag, it can go in the green bin and be picked up every week. So that's it for me. And
okay, thank you. Councillor Wells.
Thank you, Your Worship. Just further to David, if you have a large dog, it's large biodegradable bags. But I guess a couple of things. I've had, I would say, the average number of calls from residents looking for direction or help or advice in terms of resolving issues. So that's been an average. Driving about, I've been interested in watching the progress on the Arena Library project, which is moving ahead, and my understanding is we're right on schedule. Also, the progress at the casino site. It is moving forward quite rapidly. I think most of the steel is now up, and they'll be starting to close in, I would think, fairly soon. We attended, my wife and I attended the United Church frozen meal sale, which is a fundraiser for the United Church in town. My understanding is that it was a very successful event for them. I know that the products my wife came home with were excellent, and certainly my congratulations to the church folks for A, putting that on, and B, for the quality of the product they were selling. Attended the Women in Business Awards, and I guess all I can say is my congratulations to all the nominees and to all the award winners, one of whom sits on our council. But it was a great night, a lot of fun, as well as a very serious recognition of a number of women in business for their achievements over the years. It was mentioned about the Ukrainian flag raising. I was privileged and honored to be a part of that. I think it's the least we can do to recognize the terrible circumstances that the Ukrainian people find themselves in, whereas an independent nation, they have been invaded by another nation, and it appears that other nation has no morals or scruples in how they're dealing with their invasion. So the more we can support, the more we can morally support, as well as in kind support, the better. Lastly, I successfully survived my 4th COVID shot as an immunocompromised individual, and it was again painless, quick, and easy as at the walk-in clinic at the Recplex. So my thanks and my congratulations to our health staff who ran those clinics and did a phenomenal job of getting the vaccine out there to people who needed it. Thank you.
Thank you. Councillor Blanchet.
Thank you, Mayor Bifulci. Yes, first on my list is the flag raising for support of Ukraine, and I'm very encouraged. I believe Canadians have now donated more than $100 million, and I think there was a $30 million match from our federal taxes. And ask everyone to continue to remember the Ukrainians in their prayers. Also attended the Wasaga Beach Business Ladies Women's Business Award, but had some technical difficulties that night with getting on properly. But do want to congratulate all the nominees, the award winners, and to recognize the considerable contribution that the business women of Wasaga Beach make to our community. Participated in the CB Hydrate grand opening, working on another small food bank fundraiser at the moment to complement the Rotary's work in getting out the Easter hampers. Attended the West End Drainage Project public meeting, and have also been actively promoted in a couple of United Church fundraisers. Thank you.
Thank you. Deputy Mayor Bray.
Thank you, Mayor Bifulci. I can't believe another month has gone by. We've seen Snowman Mania come and go. It was a little different this year, but hopefully it's the sign that events are coming back. The Women's Awards through the Chamber of Commerce, which was another Zoom presentation, but it had a little bit of a twist with the do-it-yourself charcuterie at the house. And I think that was, again, kind of innovative and a little fun. Had the privilege of attending the Ontario Volunteer Service Awards, where I was recognized with a 10-year certificate for my involvement with the local Rotary Club. So that was kind of nice. From town perspective, continued to meet with the construction steering group for the Twin Pad Library and Arena. Our age-friendly group has been busy refreshing the brochure, and we will be hosting an expo this June. So I will send a quick email with the date if you don't already have it in your calendar, so you can all plan to attend. International Women's Day is always a good day to be a woman. Of course, raising the Ukraine flag as a small show of support. I think we're all trying to think what we can do to help those that need our help, and certainly raising the flag was a nice start. We had a ribbon cutting again this month at CBD Hydrate, which I might not have said proper, CB Hydrate, I think. Again, interesting to learn about things that you didn't know, and I came home with something to try on my dog, so we shall see where we go with that. Just on a personal perspective, the snow is rapidly melting, so stay away from the rushing waters, protect your little ones, and enjoy the birds. They're returning. The it's like music to our ears, I think, as the sounds of spring are settling into Wasaga Beach. So happy spring, everybody.
Thank you. Councillor Watson.
Thank you, Your Worship. I had one NVCA meeting this month and one coming up tomorrow again, and continue to help residents with obtaining permits for various works around their properties. I also attended the initial introduction meeting between the Conservation Authority and the Wasaga Climate Action Team. They wanted to, we met virtually, and just to introduce both groups. The MVCA had 3 or 4 of their senior management team along with their CAO, and the Climate Action Team had 2 members there. So I think it went well, and I think they're already collaborating on one tree planting project as we speak. So they'll keep going and talking to each other. Attended the United Church sale of their soups and chilies. Once again, it was excellent, and our freezer is full again. Congrats to the nominees and winners at the Women in Business. That was a high energy evening. It was very interesting and very good meeting. Habitat for Humanity, I attended in Stayner for the sod turning for their latest build. That was a miserable cold morning, high winds, snow, well below freezing, but there was a group of about 40 people out. Wasaga Beach was thanked, as was the Wasaga Beach Rotary Club, for their donation to Habitat. The flag raising for Ukraine, I'm flying a Ukraine flag at our home, and it was interesting when I got it. Everyone in that store was getting a flag that day to support Ukraine, so that was very nice to see. Attended the Wasaga Beach Builders and Contractors General Meeting, where our Chief Building Official, Danny Rogers, spoke at the meeting to inform the Construction Association about changes to the building code going forward, and also attended the CB Hydrate grand opening. Thank you, Your Worship.
Thank you. Councillor Kinney.
Thank you, Your Worship. I will make it quick. Yes, the weather's looking very nice outside. And a couple months ago, I made a pledge, and because of the nice weather, we have stopped cross-country skiing, obviously. But this year we rounded out with just over 453 kilometers. So I will be making a donation of $453 to our Mysteria food bank. Also, I've attended our Accessibility Advisory Committee. It was virtual as usual. I, like Councillor Wells, have been driving around and really thrilled about the progress of our arena, casino, and the other buildings in our community. It's kind of like the flowers popping up. They're getting more and more to it, and hopefully those businesses will be opening up. And my final word, Your Worship, will be to those in the community that, yes, it's nice out, and yes, a lot of our COVID restrictions have been taken away, but I want to stug a little nugget in their minds that COVID isn't going away. It will be around. So you have to look after yourself and keep that in mind. And just recently, we've had a positive hit within my own family. So I know how important it is to try and keep that in the back of your mind as we move forward, because we're going to live with this COVID virus like we do with all other viruses, and it's how we treat it will make us move forward or get us sick. And I thank you for that, Your Worship.
Thank you. I attended many of the events and places that have already been mentioned, so I won't reiterate that, as well as regional government review meetings, affordable housing, the construction arena and library meetings. I do also want to welcome Commander Leah Guilfoy to the Huronia West Detachment. That will be our new commander here, and she's been here for a little bit now, but I have full confidence that she's going to be engaged in the community and doing great things. Just also, we will be having coffee with council again, now that some of the restrictions have been lifted. The first one is in April, at the end of April, and then June, I believe. So those will be advertised on through social media and things like that. And we look forward to seeing people come out to those as well. So with that, I will move on to notices of motion. And I do have one from myself. And it reads, whereas the Council of the Town of Blue Mountains enacted a motion pertaining to the town's displeasure of being part of Grey County due to reasons such as county council composition, amount of tax dollars flowing to the county, and what the town receives in return. And whereas the motion directed staff to review previous studies on the matter of regional governance models, as well as historical projected budgets for the town and Grey County, and prepare a report back to county before the end of its term to consider, 1, the net cash flows that historically have occurred between the town of Blue Mountain ratepayers and Grey County investments in and other transfers to the town of the Blue Mountains for infrastructure and other social service needs. And 2, the net impact of the town of the Blue Mountains ratepayers, both in terms of financing and service delivery, if the town were to be part of a South Georgian Bay regional government consisting of Meaford, Grey Highlands, Collingwood, Clearview, and Wasaga Beach, as opposed to continuing to be part of Grey County. And whereas there was no contact with the town of Wasaga Beach before the motion was put forward, and whereas there was no regard or consideration for Wasaga Beach, Collingwood, or Clearview taxpayers on the implications to these taxpayers of becoming part of a regional government with the town of Blue Mountains, with these taxpayers likely being asked to fund any funding shortfalls for this new governance model. Be it resolved that the Council of the Town of Wasaga Beach advises the Town of Blue Mountain that Wasaga Beach enjoys being part of the County of Simcoe governance structure and has no desire to be part of the review. And be it further resolved that the Council of the Town of Wasaga Beach indicate to the Town of Blue Mountain that it will strongly oppose any regionalization efforts. And be it further resolved that if the Town of Blue Mountains wishes to join the County of Simcoe, that it be advised that it follow the proper process to do so. And be it further resolved that this motion be circulated to the towns of Collingwood and Meaford and the townships of Clearview and Grey Highlands requesting their support. And be it further resolved that this motion be circulated to the Town of Blue Mountains and Grey County Council. So this motion will be discussed at a future meeting. Motions where notice has been previously given, there are none. Calling of committee meetings, Mr. CAO.
Thank you, Your Worship, members of council. So turning to the April calendar, our first scheduled meeting is the 14th of April, and that's coordinated committee at 9 a.m. Members of council, there may be a need for a special council meeting immediately following that coordinated committee meeting to deal with a planning matter. We'll know closer to that date whether the special meeting is needed. That meeting will be done in a virtual format. The following week is the 21st of April, Thursday the 21st. That's at 9 a.m. That's a committee of the whole meeting. And we may be transitioning to an in-person format at that meeting. We still have some things to work out in the council chamber, but we're getting closer. And if it's not on the 21st of April, the council meeting is scheduled for Thursday, April 28th at 2 p.m. And the clerk advises me that we should be good to go with an in-person meeting on that date. But stay tuned for further announcements from the clerk. She'll be confirming that as we work through the month of April. Thank you, Your Worship.
Okay, thank you. Councillor Foster.
Yes, thank you, Your Worship. And through to staff, perhaps, April 21st for sure, I will not be able to attend, but we do have the hybrid model in place, so it'll be possible to attend virtually still.
Your Worship, yes, when we move to in person, it will be a hybrid solution that we move to, so anybody will be able to join virtually as well as in person.
Councillor Wells.
Thank you, Worship. Just when we talk about back to in-person, I certainly accept that that's probably means all of council. Does that mean audience as well, or is that still to come?
Dina?
So yes, we will be allowing public members to attend in person if they choose to. We would just need to work out capacity numbers with the room and making sure that we still maintain that 6-foot distance. So we would look to our deputy fire chief to help us with that and determine that number, but public would be able to attend.
And further to that, would that require proof of vaccination, or is that something that's no longer valid?
It's no longer required. So we would look to Dr. Gardner's advice, and in speaking with the CAO, we would come up with what would be best for our meetings.
Okay, Councillor Kinney.
Thank you, Your Worship. I am happy that we're slowly moving back into open session again, and also that we have the ability to do the hybrid, because I think that's very important to keep moving forward, as many cases could arise where a councillor can't make it, or because of health issues can't make it, and we should make sure that we have that capacity as a council. And I thank you, Worship.
Thank you. And Councillor Watson.
Thank you, Worship. What about masking to the clerk? Like I'd really want this to be a safe environment for everybody. So will masking be, are we allowed to make our, like the province has certain rules, but within our council chambers, can we decide how we want it to proceed? Masking, vaccination, so forth?
Dina?
Yes, you can decide. Currently, the command team has not required masking for our public meeting spaces, but that's something I can certainly take back to the command team and discuss. And if council wishes, we can make some of those considerations.
Yeah.
Okay. Any other comments or questions? Okay, I don't see any. Moving on to bylaws, we do have bylaw 2022-24 pulled, but we will go and do the rest of them. So if I could have a mover and seconder, please. Councillor Wells and Deputy Mayor Bray resolve that the following bylaws be received and be deemed to be read a first, second, and third time, passed and numbered as follows. 2022-20, a bylaw to authorize entering into an agreement between the town of Wasaga Beach and Her Majesty the Queen and Right of the Province of Ontario, as represented by the Minister of Municipal Affairs and Housing, Municipal Modernization Program. 2022-21, a bylaw to authorize entering into an agreement between the town of Wasaga Beach and Her Majesty the Queen and Right of the Province of Ontario, as represented by the Minister of Agriculture, Food and Rural Affairs, Rural Economic Development Program. 2022-22, a bylaw to authorize the stop-up, closure, and sale of a portion of the road allowance, particularly described as Part Lot 16, RCP 1694, Wasaga Beach, being designated as Part 2, Plan 51R 43223. 2022-23, a bylaw to authorize the sale, disposition of surplus real property no longer required for municipal purposes, being instrument number R01004047, save and accept Part 3, Plan 51R 41303, part of Lot 30, Plan 678, Sunnydale, Town of Wasaga Beach, County of Simcoe, 414 Mosley Street. 2022-25, a bylaw to authorize the execution of a license agreement with Twin Creeks Golf and Country Club, Inc. and Accomplish Capital, Inc. for access to property to facilitate the replacement of the Pridham Park pedestrian bridge. 2022-26, a bylaw to appoint seasonal municipal law enforcement officers for the town of Wasaga Beach. And 2022-27, a bylaw to authorize the sale, disposition of surplus real property no longer required for municipal purposes, being part of Lot 25, Concession 9, Geographic Township of Floss, now Town of Wasaga Beach, County of Simcoe, being designated as Parts 1, 2, 3, and 4 on Reference Plan 51R 43383, part of 544 River Road West. All those in favor? And that is carried. And then we will go back to bylaw 2022-24, which our presenter or our during comment and question period, we had some questions and comments. So I'm going to go straight to Mr. Rose to answer some of those things that were raised.
Thank you, Mayor Bray. First, I'll start off with the comment that came from yourself. I believe that you wanted clarification on how ice can be distributed when the new arena comes on board. Obviously, we will increase from 1 pad to 2. And I'll only state that there is a staff report coming forward in April. This is as per the original discussions that date back to the deputation in February. And staff will come forward with an explanation as to how the surplus ice in the second pad can be distributed as the new pad, or as the new arena opens up. Further to the questions that came forward from Mr. Thomas, I think that the first item that I should address is his comment regarding contracts that have now been wrapped into this policy. And certainly we had discussion on this at coordinated committee earlier this month. And I will clarify for council that in adopting this allocation policy, there is very little requirement to create contracts. And as discussed earlier this month as well, although we may entertain these discussions and develop a template of a contract that would make sense for the municipality, it would only ever be approved at council, and council would have the final say should any contracts be proposed moving forward for ice or any other facility use in our recreation grouping that my department looks after. Last but not least, I think that the staff report that was circulated at coordinated committee clearly addresses a long-standing practice, and I think I can speak confidently that this exists in many other municipalities, if not all, that when you rented ice last year, you would get it at the same time again this year. And our municipality did not have a policy with this in writing, but some of these questions have come up in recent months and years, and we've been working on this allocation policy. As you all know, the original was passed in November and it was adopted by council, and the additional questions that have come forward as a result of the COVID disruptions have now been built into our allocation policy as well. I would only give council confidence that as per our report, this allocation policy ensures that people cannot be bumped. And I would question whether a monopoly is being protected. There is still much more ice that is available, but there are key prime times in many parts of the year that are well sought after. And if an existing user is in good standing, I don't see any reason to bump that user group. And I would encourage council that if we do adopt this policy today, that would be the policy requirement that staff would revert to.
So if I'm hearing you correctly, is there any available ice this summer for
others? Yes, your worship, absolutely.
Okay, and prior to any agreements or whatever moving forward, do you ensure that everyone has a business license if they are running a business from our arena?
This question has come to my awareness only this week, but or last week, I would say, and the comments today, obviously for council, were the first time, but this is something that's being dealt with through our bylaw department, and I was made aware of this question similar to Mr. Thomas's comments. And in order to operate a business in the town of Wasaga Beach, one must have a business license. And I'm assured by our bylaw department that they are looking into these questions that Mr. Thomas has.
Okay, so prior to any new agreements being made or this policy being used, the business using it will have a business license. Is that what I am hearing?
I would have to check with our bylaw department. My only understanding is that they are looking into it. The Recreation and Events Facilities Department only looks into booking ice. Many of our users are not businesses, and some are. So I don't think that exercise will take very long. The date for this policy to come into or it becomes live is April 1st. So we have about 10 days to make certain that no groups would be excluded or put behind a group that did not have a proper business license.
And my final,
I hope that answers your question, Your Worship.
My final question goes to our clerk. I don't know what the rule is because I've never asked to add it to a bylaw. If this bylaw was to move forward today, is council allowed to add to it to include that a review be done in advance of the second pad being available for use? Basically, this would be in place for this year, but that before we move on into the new arena where things are different, things will change, can we make it a stipulation that this policy is reviewed next year prior to anyone going in the new arena?
The bylaw can certainly stipulate that a review is done. Typically, our policies are reviewed every 5 years, as Mr. Roos has said, if this is a permanent policy. However, at the time of the Twin Pad Arena coming forward, if council wishes to review the policy at that particular time, that could be something that would be done as well. If you're looking to add to the motion that that the bylaw be reviewed, I don't know that would change the bylaw or the policy, but we could have the policy changed so that the review date was a different date rather than 5 years.
Okay, or could we pass another motion following this bylaw that it be that this policy be reviewed in January of next year?
Correct.
Okay, all right. I just wanted to get that straight in my head. I think I saw some cards going up. So Councillor Foster.
Yes, Your Worship, and it's along the same lines as you're going there. I just, in the perfect world, what is there an ideal date that the second pad would come online without committing to it, but say everything goes fine? Are we looking at the 2023 summer season, or are we looking first quarter of 2024? In the perfect world.
Go ahead, Chris.
Thank you. Through you, Your Worship, Councillor Foster. Our current construction schedule is predicting that the town takes occupancy of the building in July of 2023, and our plan is to be ready for hockey and figure skating season in September of 2023. So in a perfect world, if we remain on schedule, September 2023 is the time that we will have a second pad available, and we would move out of the Soccer Stars Arena after summer 2024.
Thank you for that, Chris. And it's not a matter of if we remain on schedule. Let's just remain on schedule. And thank you for that clarification.
Okay, Councillor Belanger.
Thank you, Your Worship. Just a couple of, one question. We didn't speak of insurances. If some of our ice renters are not a business and then not likely to have proof of insurance, do they all sign waivers, or how is the liability handled for any kind of accident? Insurance came up in the earlier comments from the resident, but we haven't addressed it here. But again, and if it is a business that's renting ice, is there a stipulated amount of insurance that is required? And then my second point, and I brought this up earlier, is my understanding here is that we're reverting back, and the prime time of July and August between 9 and 5 is predominantly being given to one company, and they're just now going out advertising, trying to fill their programs. Now, someone might say that that's fair, and in my mind, a compromise. If a new business can operate in off-prime hours, then certainly the existing business, if they had to give up just a little bit to accommodate a new program that also has demand within our residency. So it's not a case of bumping. It's a case of there's various types of programs in our community that our residents want to take advantage of. And I think that a level of compromise is ultimately what is fair. Not to say that the business that had all 5 days from 9 to 5 have to give up half of that time, but certainly if they had to give up 10 or 15 or 20%, would be a good compromise, and it would allow us to have other programs start and flourish. And we seem to have indicated in this case is that fairness is let's revert back 2 years and give the individual that used all that peak time, give them all the peak time, even though they didn't use it all in the previous years. My understanding that some of it did go to other companies, but so I won't be supporting it because in my definition of fairness, we're not meeting the test. So thank you.
Well, and I think we need to remember there was COVID in there as well. But Chris, can you answer the question starting with the insurance question?
Certainly. So the only facility rental that requires a proof of insurance with the town of Wasaga Beach facilities today is when an alcohol license is being used. So a wedding with an alcohol license, there must be a proof of insurance for third-party users to serve alcohol. So no, it is not a requirement to have proof of insurance to rent ice or any other facility in a recreation building. Secondly, with relation to the off-prime hours, this is what I was speaking to earlier. There certainly is off-prime ice available. And if this policy is enacted in roughly 10 days on April 1st, written requests will be reviewed, and that additional ice will be doled out to all interested parties. And I will also assure council that there is a small percentage of prime ice. And Councillor Blanger's 9 to 5 definition was a little bit off. I would say that 8 to 4 is likely the most prime in summer, but there is a small portion that could be available and is open to all interested parties to make written requests. And so we will be executing that process as per this allocation policy in the coming weeks.
Okay, thank you. And just to our clerk, through the business licensing though, if you have a business, you are required to provide insurance, are you not?
Through the business license, yes, you are required to provide insurance.
Okay, thank you.
For the business, not for the town named additionally insured. And I think that's probably what Chris is getting to. The alcohol insurance would now name the town additionally insured in case there were any accidents. That's a different type of insurance.
Right. Okay, Councillor Wells.
Going back to almost the beginning of the discussion, I'm just looking to the clerk. Bylaw 2022-24, as it stated, says a bylaw to adopt a facility allocation policy 4-11 and to repeal bylaw 2021-90. Could we not make an amendment that would say, and further, that this bylaw be reviewed prior to the allocation of ice time within the new Twin Pad Arena Library facility?
Certainly, we could do that. You can put that near the end, that the bylaw be reviewed, or you can put an end date on a bylaw as well. So if the bylaw were to expire at a certain date, then it would have to come back.
I'm just thinking that this bylaw is probably still in force, because of the 5-year review process. It's still in force at the time that the Twin Pad Arena Library is being open. But
Correct.
Simply by adding, and furthermore, that this bylaw, this specific bylaw, be reviewed prior to the allocation of ice time within the new facility.
Right, and that's the question I asked earlier, if we can add to this, and you kind of indicated, Dina, that you would have to change the date within that document or pass a different motion that says that this bylaw will be. So what is, if council was to go that way, what is the cleanest way of doing it?
I would think that the cleanest way of doing it would be to put a motion forward and to change the date on the policy. simply adding that we will review at the end of a bylaw. Unfortunately, there's not a tracking mechanism to go back to say this bylaw needs to be reviewed. If it was expired, then we would put an expiry date, but it's difficult to track within a bylaw if there are specific dates like that.
Okay.
But we do track policy dates. Yeah.
Councillor Wells?
I guess I understand what Dina's saying. However, we don't know what the date is. At this moment, we have no idea what the date is. And that's why I was proposing just to be reviewed prior to the allocation of ice in the new facility. Leaves it open-ended.
Right. And that's why I'm asking if this motion or if this bylaw is approved and we pass a separate motion that says that is directing staff to review this January of next year, lots of time prior to the opening of the pad, is that sufficient? Because that is still direction to staff.
Yes, I believe so.
All right. Deputy Mayor Bray. You're on mute.
Okay, so I think I heard that renters of the ice need to be in good standing with the town, and that would include their business license, their payments, all the things that were of concern. That would be the first confirmation. And then the one thing that wasn't 100% sure was the length of time for first right of refusal. Because the frustrations that I understand from the younger business who's trying to get ice time is that because they don't have the history with the town, they're not being considered until the first right holder turns it down. And we have all businesses have a window to which they can develop their programs, staff their programs, advertise their programs, and sell them. So if we get back to them too late with that available ice time list, we might then prevent them from actually building their business. So I guess the question about the length of time for that first right of refusal, and if there's anything we can do to tighten that up so that, the first right of refusal, yep, you've got it, but you got to get in, you got to get on it, and you got to make it an opportunity for someone else if you're not going to take it, because the town doesn't want to have the arena sitting empty.
Okay. Chris?
Certainly, that's a good question. And I'll preempt my answer with the notion that there is a slippery slope here. And ice is a very sought after facility rental that we book. And council has also adopted a policy back in November 2021, the refund policy for facility rentals. And for ice, you need to pay in full at the time of booking. This allocation policy that we're looking at today brings us forward to the next year. So I don't book automatically. Further to the Deputy Mayor's comment, I have first right of refusal for, let's call it 1 hour of ice that I booked last year. So according to this policy, 30 days before the season, and the season in this case is 4 months. We've made this change because council had the instinct when we reviewed this discussion in February that June 1st was not a fair time to start to review summer activity. And instead we've amalgamated spring and summer. So we've got a 4-month period, exactly the same as the fall 4 months and the winter 4 months now. So 30 days in advance of the summer 4 months, May, June, July, and August, is April 1st. So on April 1st, all of our groups that have ice from the season past make us aware that they want it or give it back to the available ice to be booked. But, and I'll be very clear with council, we have not written into the policy that you have to pay for 4 months worth of ice all on April 1st. But the way that the policy is written is that you must pay for all of your ice 30 days out. So
okay.
In general, we don't have a huge issue with this, but we would not ask any one customer to pay 4 months of ice all at once. And so sometimes these numbers are sizable. $50,000 would not be unusual. Definitely in September, it could be difficult for minor hockey, for example, to pay for all of their ice in advance. So we do only have a 30-day payment requirement, But when this policy becomes effective, we are asking all of our past ice users to confirm that they want that ice. They truly don't put their money where their mouth is until 30 days out, at which time we would certainly relinquish that ice. It hasn't been an issue, though, in the past that making collections. We are likely 99.5% collection proof. We don't have many groups that don't pay their bills late sometimes, but always paid.
Yeah, and I think part of it is, though, if someone was to 30 days before say, yeah, I don't need all of this ice now, that has prevented someone else from running their business and taking ice that is now sitting empty. So I think that's part of the concern. I've got Councillor Watson, and then our CAO had his card up as well. I do want to point out to Council that there is always the option to refer this bylaw back to staff after hearing everything that has been said today, and perhaps bringing it back to the April 14th meeting, but I'll leave that for you to consider and think about. Councillor Watson.
Thank you, Your Worship. I wouldn't be opposed to referring back, but I think it's absolutely critical that we just leave this until January 1st of next year or something like that. We're entering a whole new world with the Twin Pad Arena, and we have to look at that and accommodate that facility and not rely on our existing facility, and to make sure everything is equitable across the board. So I would certainly be supporting that initiative. Thank you.
Okay, Mr. CAO.
Thank you, Worship, members of council. Just on a couple of points that were made within the policy. It indicates that the policy is to be reviewed, and I'll just read it here. It talks about the 5 years. The policy will be reviewed as required, but in any case, no later than 5 years from the date of the most recent review. So there's been discussion by members of council as required. So I think there's wisdom there in terms of looking to amend the bylaw as the clerk has outlined, and quite simply as a number 4 statement within the body of the bylaw that the facility allocation policy 4.1 be reviewed prior to the opening of the new Twin Pad arena. So it would just be number 4 in your bylaw, and it would be an amendment so that that would capture what's been allocated or what's been discussed. My other comment, Your Worship, has to do with the point that the director made with respect to the availability of ice. There was several comments made about monopoly, and my understanding and conversation is that there is other ice available for rental. It may not be the prime ice that maybe another person may want, but there is ice available. So I just wanted to just reinforce that statement, that if a person was interested and they wanted to get their business or program up and running, that certainly they'd be encouraged to look at that available ice. Thank you.
Okay, so just so we're clear, council could choose to put forward an amendment to the bylaw that says that it be reviewed prior to the new season beginning at the new arena. And that way this is guaranteed it would be done next year, correct?
Yeah, at the very latest, Your Worship, it would be guaranteed to be done. And that is the direction of council as I understand it so far.
Yes, okay. Who did I have next? I thought I saw Councillor Kinney's card up next. Did I see that?
Your Worship, I have to default to Councillor Wells, whose card went up moments before mine did. Thank you.
Okay, we'll go to Councillor Wells.
Thank you, Councillor Kinney. Just, Your Worship, your suggestion about referral, or somebody's suggestion about referral, that will then delay by probably a month at least the opportunity for the Recreation Department to review the current and get things going, because April the 1st is the deadline for people to dictate whether they want the summer ice time or not and to go forward. So while I understand the thought process, I think that's throwing a real wrench into the ability of the Recreation Department to follow through with any allocations for the summer season, which is April through to the fall.
And that's always the problem when we get these things this close to a deadline date and have this many questions still. So, Councillor Kinney.
Your Worship, I agree with Councillor Wells with regards to wrenches and the whole idea about the deadline of April 1st, and I can appreciate it from our facility manager with regards to trying to do their utmost to try and keep efficient ship going forward. However, I think prudence would dictate that we could put in the bylaw that a review should be done before the twin pad opens. I think there's other issues that could be addressed. And if we do send it back, and I would be in favor of sending it back to get a complete bylaw, not an added one, this and that, because now we've had some discussions with regards to some of the concerns that council have. I would be in favor of that, keeping in mind that, yes, it's going to pass the April 1st date. Thank you.
Okay, and I think just for clarity, to have loose comments saying that, you know, an amendment that would say that we would do it before the twin pad opens is not good enough, because it will not do that trigger mechanism to have the bylaw reviewed. So I have Councillor Foster next, but my suggestion is if council can send it back and we can miss the April 1st deadline, or council can make an amendment motion to this bylaw that indicates that it will be reviewed no later than January 30th of 2023. That would then have it done prior to the new arena opening. Councillor Foster.
Your Worship, that's what I was going to suggest. We take the amendment that the CAO put forward that puts it to whatever the date is, that item 4 under the bylaw that gives a specific date. So I'll move that, and I'd request that we call the question as soon as possible, please.
Yeah, so I'm going to look to the clerk. If you could tell me a motion that would address what we've been discussing here. We do need a date, and we don't have that directly in front of me here.
Yes, and that was, 24. So we've pulled, so that bylaw 2022-24 be adopted, have been read a first, second, third time, passed and numbered as follows. Bylaw 2022-24, a bylaw to adopt a facility allocation policy for 11 and to repeal bylaw 2021-90, and that the bylaw be amended to add clause number 4, that this bylaw shall be reviewed no later than January 30th, 2023.
Okay, so Councillor Foster, you're prepared to move that. Can I have a seconder? Councillor Watson, any further discussion? All those in favor? Those opposed? So that is carried by a vote of 6-1 with Councillor Belanger in opposition. And next we have our closed session. If I can have a mover and seconder to move into closed session, please. Councillor Kinney and Councillor Belanger resolve that pursuant to section 239(2)(a), (b), and (k) of the Municipal Act 2001 as amended, the next portion of the March 24th, 2022 regular council meeting will move into closed session to discuss the security of the property of the municipality or local board, personal matters about an identifiable individual, including municipal or local board employees, and a position plan, procedure, criteria, or instruction to be applied to any negotiations carried on or to be carried on by or on behalf of the municipality or local board. All those in favor? And And that is carried. And we'll just take a quick 5 minutes and then we'll be in camera.
We're live, Your Worship.
Okay, thank you. We're back in open session from closed. I will note item 15.3 was already declared a conflict for Deputy Mayor Bray and Councillor Watson, so they will not be voting on that when I read it. And Councillor Wells, you have a declaration to make as well for item 15.4.
Thank you, Your Worship. I have a personal conflict with respect to item 15, with item 4, and I will not be voting on that motion.
Okay, thank you. So our first motion on our agenda is 15.1, that Council confirms the direction provided to the coordinator, fundraising and sponsorship in closed session pertaining to a financial agreement matter. Can I have a mover and seconder? Councillor Foster and Councillor Kinney. All those in favor? And that is carried. Item 15.2, that Council confirms the direction provided to the coordinator, fundraising and sponsorship in closed session pertaining to a financial agreement matter. A mover and seconder, Deputy Mayor Bray and Councillor Watson. All those in favor? And that is carried. Item 15.3, we have the two declared conflicts. If I could have a mover and seconder, please. Councillor Foster, Councillor Kinney. The Council confirms the direction provided to the coordinator, fundraising and sponsorship in closed session pertaining to a financial agreement matter. All those in favor? And that is carried. Item 15.4, Councillor Wells has declared his conflict. If I could have a mover and seconder for that motion, please. Councillor Kinney and Deputy Mayor Bray. The Council received the verbal report provided in closed session pertaining to an external board matter, and that Council confirmed direction given to the utility representatives. All those in favor? And Councillor Wells is in a conflict, so not voting. Sorry, usually we shut the cameras off if they're in conflict, just to make it very clear. But all those in favor? And that is carried. And item 15.5, the Council received the verbal report from the CAO provided in closed session pertaining to beachfront negotiations. A mover, please. Councillor Kinney, Councillor Foster. All those in favor? And that is carried. And a mover and seconder resolved that the Council received the following closed session reports as circulated and approves all actions contained therein. Regular meeting of Council, February 24th, 2022, closed session minutes, and coordinated committee, March 10th, 2022, closed session minutes. A mover and seconder, please. Councillor Kinney and Councillor Watson. All those in favor? And those, okay, that is carried. And the confirmatory bylaw, a mover and seconder, please. Councillor Kinney, Councillor Wells, resolved that a bylaw to confirm the proceedings of the Council of the Corporation of the Town of Wasaga Beach at its regular meeting held Tuesday, March 24th, 2022, be received and be deemed to have been read a first, second, and third time, passed and numbered 2022-28. All those in favor? And that is carried. Thank you. And we are adjourned. Have a nice night.